Yeah, we're good. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to go live there and we're going to go live here. So, Gary Williams, listen, you are a legend in the sport of powerlifting, much loved, much valued, much appreciated. And, for many, the voice of powerlifting, right? And you bring so
Do I
much
have to send? Do I have to send you $50 now?
US dollars, please, not
Do I
Zimbabwean
have to send
dollars.
you $50
Yes, please.
for
We'd appreciate that.
those nice words?
Nonsense. It's all
I'll
true.
send you some rubles.
Yeah, cool. About 10,000 rubles. What is that in dollars?
It's about $5.
Okay, sweet. That's all right. Yeah, we'll take that. Thank you very much.
It's like pesos.
Yeah. So, Gary, for those two people in powerlifting that just started this morning that don't know you, can you give us a little bit of background into who Gary is and sort of who you are in terms of the sport and yourself as an athlete and as a coach?
Yeah, sure. So, if you watch powerlifting online, you on the IPF channel or on Eurosport or in sport in the US or on the Olympic channel, you probably would have heard me somewhere along the line. So I'm one of the many commentators that commentate. I primarily commentate at the equipped events because that's where my background and experience is. As a person, I've been a coach and an athlete in a number of sports and strength sports since I was a young kid. And coached and competed at elite levels in sport myself as well for many, many years. Powerlifting is a strength sport that I'm extremely passionate about. I'm 50 years old, so I'm a Masters 2 now. I'm still competing, still compete in the Opens. So I competed here in Belarus Championships and the Equipped Bench Press Championships a number of times over the last several years as well. So I'm still competing, still lifting, and still commentating as well, and still coaching as well. So coached Australian athlete World Bench last year. I'm still coaching her, competing in World Bench for that, alongside the great Joe Whiteley, who is an absolute wealth of information, who started the data center basically that we're using for so much data and information, open powerlifting.
Right. Sure. Gary, you are breaking up a little bit. Could you just check your connection strength? I know
that's a bit.
Yeah, it's probably our undersea cables. How is your network looking?
my network is good. We don't have any undersea cables. We have no sea here.
Okay. Yeah. So all right. So there's a little bit of breakup. I know that sometimes the cables from Europe down to SA can be a bit dodgy. So we'll push through. I do love it how you said sort of Joe Whiteley started the data center. Joe Whiteley is the data center.
Yeah, very much. Yeah, she didn't just start. She basically downloaded her brain.
Plugged into a machine. 100%.
And that's how we got it.
How did you get into the sport of powerlifting?
Look, it's interesting. I mean, I've been in strength sport for many years. I guess my journey in powerlifting probably started way back, probably back when I was in my early 20s. We had some powerlifting competitions at the gym that I was training at. So I got involved and had some fun there. That was all sort of non-IPF days and non-Australian powerlifting days and things like that. So I think my deeper involvement, I guess, came back in 2017. That was probably my deeper involvement into IPF days then. And I coached the Australian team for World Championships in Belarus.
Awesome.
Met a lot of people. Got asked to do some commentary at the 2017 World Equip Championships in Czechia back then. And then I guess from there, I just sort of became a mainstay in commentary. I'd been coaching national athletes for a decade before that as well. But I think that was probably when the deeper involvement in the IPF really started, was probably 2017, I think.
Right, sure. And then your journey into the commentary, to touch on that first before we go into your lifting, what was that like, getting asked to commentate at different comps and at Commonwealth now and World Masters, sort of commentating? Well, I wasn't really commentating. I was the announcer and making noise for the public. And, that's a lot of fun. And then when you need a break, young people are always wanting to step up and willing to step up and bringing their own bit of magic sort of from their region or their country. What advice would you give to people looking to get involved in the commentary side of the sport? What are some of the do's and don'ts? I'm famous for mispronouncing names.
Yeah, look, I
repeatedly.
I've done that plenty of times. Look, I would honestly tell people, if they want to get involved, just put your hand up and have a go.
Right.
I mean, commentary has changed, so much since I started. I mean, when I started, I think things were, I guess, a little more casual. I mean, we were only really broadcasting back then on our YouTube channel. So it was a bit more, I wouldn't say unprofessional, but I'd say a little bit more casual. But our production now, has morphed into, and evolved into such an incredible production and broadcast of sport. And I've watched it. I've watched several times from home. When such a professional broadcast of sport and does such a great job of showing sport for what it is. So I guess that side of how we as well, how we speak and the information we provide has changed a little bit as well. We've definitely upped our game over the last several years of providing great information for the viewers, and
I think, and you and Joe have been a big part of that.
And, past achievements from athletes. Oh, very much. I mean, I think, I think for that first session of every competition that I commentate on, you're always nervous, because you want to do a great job. It's our job to the viewers and we'll walk with viewers through it, but it's also our job to, make sure the athletes and the coaches and everyone involved get the accolades that they deserve as well. Whether you're the world number one or it's your first world championships, and you're just doing the best you can. Our job is to really make sure that every single athlete that walks onto that platform feels important, because they are important. They get the accolades they deserve. If you make it to a world championship, I mean, that in itself is an incredible feat. I mean, that's, for me, is one thing that has eluded me in all my elite sports. I've never made it to a world championship, and that's 30 years of training and different sports as well. Still have to a world championship. So if you make it there, then you deserve the accolades, and part of our job is to really make sure that regardless of where you are in the rankings on that day to World Championships, you are no less important than the person who's ranked number one.
That's absolutely phenomenal, and it's spot on, and you certainly do that. you guys certainly bring that level to the competitions and share with the public. I said, it's micro views of the journey that got the athlete there, that got the coaches there. And that's something that definitely does need to be shared. Speaking of sharing, anything you'd like to share with us? You did mention something to me a little bit earlier. Can we go public with that yet?
Well, I'll tell you, I've got two things, and one I haven't even told my wife yet. So hopefully she's not listening.
Yeah.
So first one, I'm really privileged and really honoured this year to be going and commentating at the World Games in China. An absolute privilege and shock to be able to do that.
That's really, what was it like finding out that that's what you were going to be doing?
I unexpected. Certainly said to bring commentator. We haven't taken commentators of our own from IPF in the past, but certainly didn't expect to be getting that call, which is an absolute shock, some excitement, some nerves. Certainly nervous about it. But such an incredible event. I mean, the World Games, we're talking about the best of it's powerlifting, isn't it?
It really is, and it's such a wonderful it's such a wonderful opportunity for the sport, for the athletes, and I think for you it's so well deserved. So are we able to say, Gary, that you broke the news here? Like, you heard it here first.
I guess so. I mean, I haven't. You heard it first, and I'll give you another update. So
yes, please.
You've
broken 350 in the bench
the other night.
Yep.
And yeah. Look, I'll admit, I talked to my coach the other night. I will admit, I probably was halfway through a bottle of rum, but I want an opportunity to compete at a world championship.
Sure.
So we set our sights on World Bench 2026.
Right.
So I'm going to be spending the next year training extremely hard for a world championship debut at Equip Bench in 2026.
Hang on a second. I've got to do this as well.
Just to chase after the current M2 world record.
Oh, dude, that's absolutely phenomenal. That's you do, and you know you deserve that world record.
Well, we
oh, Gary lost you there for a second.
We will see if we make it there, but that's the goal for 2026.
Right. I think World Bench 2027.
So that's the goal for 2026. So
okay, awesome. Could you check your internet speeds? Are they okay? Because you're indicating as red bars, so that's low network speed.
Okay.
Because you have been breaking up just a little bit. Let's wait. We're just going to wait for Gary to check his network.
Fix that.
All right, excellent. Thank you. And get you back on. Yeah, I need to be cautious. I'm chatting to Powerlifting royalty here. And
I think that's a bit much.
Nah, not at all. Well, the Aussie version the Australian version of royalty. I don't. Can you say that to an Australian? I mean, it's actually an insult. It's not a compliment, right?
Well, I don't know if I'm classed that much as an Australian anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't lived there in almost 8 years now. So I think I'm a sort of a mixture of nationalities.
Yeah. A global citizen, as it were.
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Awesome. Any sort of have you resolved any sort of issue? How's the network speed looking? Because you're still showing up as red.
That should.
Otherwise, maybe we should just try and get you to dial back in to the Zoom meeting. I'll keep the link open because we're sort of losing your frame rate and then
Yeah, we might have
getting
to.
every third word. The wonders and joys of modern
That should
technology.
improve a little bit, but
Yeah, okay. Oh, there. Yeah, we've gone to yellow. All right, perfect. We can keep pushing for that. I would expect sort of with the part of the world where you're in to have internet connectivity. Absolutely. There we go, and we're up to white. Okay, cool. Your internet speed should be cracking. So for anyone who's just joined us, we've resolved some of the nope. You're back down to red. But it could well be South Africa as well, where there's a connection problem. So, and then what else have you got set for the year ahead? We've spoken about World Bench 26, which is absolutely epic. Going to go for that world record. How is the lifting going for you? And again, what made you want to pursue the equipped more so than the classic? Or
look, I mean, classic and equipped are both great. I mean, I love them both, absolutely. I mean, and I coach in both.
Mm.
I think from a spectator perspective, equipped is is a spectator sport for the non-powerlifter.
Right.
If you look at it this way, I mean, classic lifting is amazing, but the problem for the non-powerlifting spectator is, if you look at your average gym goer watching, the classic powerlifting, and someone benches 180 kilos, at a lightweight class, for a powerlifter, we look at that and we know that's incredible. For the average gym goer watching it as a spectator, they can't comprehend just how much that weight is. And even a 300 kilo deadlift for the average gym goer that might be deadlifting 180, 190 kilos, they can't comprehend it either. But when you switch over to the equipped and you're talking about ridiculous amounts of weight, even the non-gym goer can comprehend, that there's enormous amount of weight. I mean, the M2 world record that I'm chasing, I think, is 300 kilos.
Right.
So even a non-lifter can comprehend that. So I think from a spectator perspective, equipped lifting is palatable to the non-lifter.
Yes.
It's like watching non-lifters watch strongman and strength sports and things like that, and they get it.
Right.
And for me, I mean, I just love equipped lifting. I honestly just love handling those ridiculous amounts of weight.
I think
I mean, for me, it's a thrill.
yeah, yeah. Even for to be a TC, and I was very fortunate to be able to TC at World Bench when it was in South Africa. And I must be honest, TC is my favorite role because you get to watch what's happening in the back and that warm-up prep and those conversations and those facial expressions.
Yeah.
And I think really going forward, maybe you could do this at World Games, is they need a camera in the tunnel and you have the monitor on your desk, so you sort of see what's coming out, and
there's so much going on out the back. I mean, I remember my last competition here. It was at November last year. For my last lift, I had two guys hanging off the bottom of my shirt, and one guy hanging off the collar of my shirt, trying to pull the thing down a bit further.
And these are not 74 kilo lifters, right?
These are I'm in the 120s, so they're not little guys hanging off the bottom of the shirt. And with equipped lifting too, you've got to let go of your personal space a little bit in equipped lifting as well. I mean, I describe someone hanging off my shirt to pull the shirt down. They're hanging off the shirt as their hand up the bottom of my pants trying to pull the shirt down. I mean, you've got to let go of your personal space
Yeah.
and
Any,
your dignity a little bit, I think.
yeah, dignity, personal space, and fear of tight spaces.
Yeah, look, and I've described. I mean, I've often described equipped lifting, as it's a combination of experience, a little bit of science, and an absolute bucket load of courage to get under that bar.
And do you think there is a degree of insanity?
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, I think the way, and from my experience as an equipped lifter, I would say the way equipped lifters look at weight is probably different. I mean, if you said to me, put another 40 kilos or another 50 kilos on it, I'd be like, yeah, okay. I mean, because in my head as an equipped lifter, that's just two small plates. Yeah, that's just a couple of plates. What's the big deal? Yeah.
What's the big deal?
Yeah. So I think, I think there probably is a little bit of insanity. There's a lot of courage, a lot of guts, particularly on the bench press. I mean, you're lying under an enormous amount of weight. There's a lot of trust in that spotting crew.
Yeah, but you're also balancing that weight on a razor, on a very thin line.
Yeah, very much.
Half a hundredth of a millimeter forward or back. You're not hitting that spot on the chest. You're not going to be able to get it up. But
yeah,
raw doesn't kick back into your face with that weight.
No, definitely not. We've all done that. I think any equipped bench presser has had their life flash in front of their eyes at some point. If you haven't, you're not doing it right. You're doing it wrong.
And knows what the molecules on an Eleiko bar look like. Is your eye?
Oh yeah, I can give you a close up. Look, it's one of those things where I think the other thing about equipped lifting is that you keep getting better because you keep learning more and more about the equipment and how to use it. Equipment technology changes as well. Yes. I mean, if you look at bench shirts from 20 years ago, or 20 or 30 years ago, they're completely different to what bench shirts are now. The technology is phenomenal. Along with that technology is the lack of forgiveness from the equipment as well. It's not forgiving anymore.
It's like traction control
on a razor's edge.
Yeah.
You're balancing on a razor's edge, and a little bit of lateral movement one way, puts it off. A little bit of forward motion, a little bit of backward motion. You miss that pathway, and that's it. It's over.
It's over.
And thank goodness for safeties and spotters.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and thank goodness for big spotters, because the big guys understand what that's like, and they're front deadlifting, doing standing bench press with over 300 kilos, getting that bar into place, because they know that it's so important for them to get that bar into the right position. And the IPF rules say they're there to assist, but with those weights in that shirt, there's no way you're going to be able to unrack safely.
No, that's right.
And look, they're so valuable. That good pass out. Even with all of my years in lifting, I still haven't got that right. Giving it to the athlete where they need it properly.
Yeah, look, and it's tough. I mean, I've said as a coach too, to athletes that, you have to learn to be adaptable. When you go to a competition, it's not your coach handing the bar out to you that's handed it out to you a million times before. It's a different person. You've got to learn to be a little bit adaptable to that. I mean, you're not always going to get a perfect handout. You've got to sort of learn to work with what you've got. I mean, take a few seconds to tell the spotter how you want the bar handed out, and
yes,
and if it's not right, re-rack, do it again if you need to. Give yourself enough time to do that. I mean, if you're going to come out onto the platform with 15 seconds to spare, you're not going to have time to do
No.
that.
Oh,
Get out
please
there.
be ready in the tunnel,
get
man.
out.
Get those wrist
Get
straps
out
on,
there.
suck it up, and just go. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Running in a bench shirt is not a video you would put on your dating profile in order to attract a partner.
Yeah, look, I train quite often in a commercial gym, so you can imagine me walking around the gym in a bench shirt on a Saturday morning.
Everyone's going, Gary's looking for hugs.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit like that.
Yeah. You know what? And I think it's a great opportunity. Let me pose a question to you, and maybe we can get a little bit controversial. What would you think about an IPF rule change that allows the coach to pass the bar in equipped? Because I think there is a safety element to that.
Well, yeah, I think there is. I think, yeah, look, I have seen some non-IPF competitions where they've done that and allowed athletes. I think the thing is, if you have the same person handing out to every single athlete, you have an even playing field.
Yeah, 100%.
And I guess it's like saying, well, then, what if I train, on ER equipment, but it's a LACO equipment at the competition. Can I then bring my ER bench to work on? I mean, I guess it just puts. I mean, yeah, it's a controversial one, and I really do see the other side of it as well.
So I just think where the numbers are going, and it's where the numbers are going, and the number of lifters getting those numbers. That
has changed so much. I mean, there was a time where a 300 kilo bench press was as rare as hen's teeth. There's the Australian coming out of me there. But now, I mean,
as long as you don't say what you're not here to do with spiders, that's fine.
Yeah, we're not here to do that.
No.
But and you're right. I mean, that is so much more common now than it was. But I think also what's changed too is, I mean, we now have very professional spotting crews as well. Yeah. So we're certainly not seeing. I mean, I remember, many years ago, you would see athletes come off complaining of a bad handout and stuff like that. But I honestly can't remember, the last time I really saw that happen. But the professionalism of our spotting teams now is different than it was 10 years ago.
Sure. Absolutely.
And I think that's making a big difference.
And it's a tough gig. So I had the opportunity twice to work overseas with the South African team and with Roelof Smith as the main one, and just how he runs the numbers. He knows what's happening. He's like, this guy's going to dump it, get tight, and the guy dumps it, and this guy's going to fail, and he fails. It's amazing to see the level of professionalism. And one of the things that I'm the most proud of is the first year we did Asia, Pacific, Africa. I think we did a 6-hour session. They had 6 hours allocated in 3 hours and 47 minutes. That was the speed that we were able to push it through.
Oh, look, it makes for a great competition too.
Yeah,
not just from a point of view as a commentator or an official, but it makes for a great spectator sport when it's just rolling through so quickly like that. Tough on the athletes, particularly if you've got a small flight. And there's zero turnaround time. Yeah. But wow, what excitement does it bring to the sport, though?
Absolutely.
Honestly, though, you could not pay me to do that job. You couldn't pay me. There's no amount of money in the world that would get me to be on a spotting crew. That is the hardest job and the most responsibility of the entire competition. Not intense. A chance.
And you're sacrificing body parts all the time. My fingers, other guys. It's. I think I was burning about 4,000 calories per session, and absolutely epic. But it's an incredible experience. And if I could make a suggestion, try it once, and if you can at international level, to be there with a lifter, sure. It is, and you see the facial
yeah.
expressions, and maybe they can put GoPros on us. It would be something that
We
would
have
be
there.
really cool.
We're turning into Formula One.
Yeah, absolutely. Very
But
400 GoPros.
yeah, look, they do an amazing job.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen, and I think also the professionalism of the spotting teams now is also led to this increase in the number of people that are hitting the big weights, the trust in the spotting crews. I mean, when you
Yes.
walk out there now with such professional teams, and on your squat, on your bench press that you are in safe hands, you will push yourself that little bit further. I mean,
Yeah.
I know even in my own training myself, if I'm training with my coach, and the usual guys that are helping, I will push myself a little bit further in training. If he's
Right.
away and I can't train with him, I won't push myself quite as far because I don't have the background and trust with the person that's helping.
And
So it does make a big difference.
Yeah, even on a psychological level, where you want to be as aware of it as possible, but the mind's going to step in there. Absolutely.
Yeah, very much so. Having that trust and that faith and believing them. I think I said to an athlete, I think I was coaching. Gosh, I can't even remember what year it was. We're back in Sweden. It was probably 2018, something like that. Missed her first 2 squats. Just didn't go down deep enough. And the one thing I said to her was, trust that guy standing behind you. He is going to get you back up if anything happens.
Yeah.
If you go down deep and you can't get up, he's going to stand you up. Don't worry about it. And she put the trust there, and she hit the depth, and she got the squat, and she's back on the board.
Oh, brilliant. Sure.
But it is just about trust.
And it's such an important thing that they get the accolades and the respect, and that the coaches, as you said trust the guys. And then also the other important thing is stay with the bar. Trust the guy.
Yeah,
don't dump the bar and run.
We don't see that too often anymore, but we do still unfortunately see the occasional dumping of the bar. And part of that is training mechanisms as well. I'll always remember I had a young guy training in my gym when I had a powerlifting gym back in Australia who had previously been a weightlifter.
Yeah,
in my gym we didn't use bumper plates; we had all iron plates.
If you drop an iron,
he dumped the bar. We all heard that.
Yeah.
I also think if you're training with that mechanism of I'm gonna if I get in trouble I'm gonna dump the bar, then when you get in trouble on the platform, that mechanism kicks back in a little bit as well.
Absolutely.
I always say as a coach, train how you compete. If you're training squat, train to depth. If you're training bench press, train how you compete. I mean, even deadlift, lock it out, put it back down. Train how you compete. I've had lots of athletes in the past when I've told them, sorry, your squat isn't deep enough. We need to get deeper on that. Let's do this. Let's work on it. Oh no, I'll get it there on the day. If you're not training to it, then you're probably not going to get it there on the day because you've got no idea where depth is.
That's it.
I mean, obviously, classic and equipped is very different in our training mechanisms, but I think it still rings a little bit true. I mean, train how you're going to compete.
Yeah, it's even it's the same saying in martial arts. You fight the way you train, and
That's right.
There's no golf. All of the that's it. In golf they say don't change your swing on the course. You change it on at the driving range. So the same thing. You got to train, and it does drive me mad. But it's a wonderful thing to see in South Africa where the coaches are now insisting on depth and like 2-3 inches. And we had young lifters coming through with a new coach or not, and really missing depth, and then getting very upset. And it's great to see. So it's great advice, Gary.
Well, I try my best.
100%.
I'm really privileged. I've had the absolute privilege of sitting ringside for so many competitions.
Mm.
And I've taken, as a coach and an athlete as well, I've taken so many things away from competitions, and watching athletes and watching coaches, and 20 or 30 years later, I'm still learning, things from other athletes and other coaches along the way. I mean, so, I've had a great privilege. I mean, to be able to sit ringside, I mean, for the IPF to let me sit ringside of so many competitions and call the lifts and commentate along the way is one of the biggest privileges life can offer, I think.
No, I absolutely agree with you. But you're there because of what you bring to the sport. So again, I'm not being paid for this. This is not a sponsored endorsement. And no, I'm being serious on that. So there we go.
This is not a sponsored endorsement at all. I just happen to be wearing a shirt, and I'm wearing my Leco wraps at the moment.
Right, how do powerlifters sneeze? Sneeze? SPD. Sorry.
What's this? And a Leco plate sitting beside me?
I mean, for a coffee mug. I've got 2 vintage 15-kilo Leco plates, and I think I've got to stick them up behind me. I think that'll be very, very cool.
I'll tell you what I've been chasing for many years. I've been chasing an Leco waffle iron, for many, many years. And I'll tell you how that came about. So in 2017, I was doing my first commentary gig in Czechia. That was the World Equip Championships. And during a squat, and I honestly cannot remember who it was, a squat suit ripped. And we had, a few minutes of airtime to fill in, as you do. So we started telling the story of the beginnings of Leco and the waffle irons and the electronics equipment that they used to produce, and how they got into producing weightlifting and powerlifting bars and plates and things like that. And ever since then, I've been chasing an Leco waffle iron. If it's as good as their equipment, it'll make good waffles, I reckon.
And it'll still be going. Did you ever get your hands on, excuse the pun, one of their coffee mugs? They put it out as an April Fool's joke.
No, I never got one.
There was such a demand. Come on, Leco. We're tagging you in this. We're tagging you in this. Put out another run of those coffee mugs. I think they would sell hundreds of thousands. I think they came up with knurling because to represent the waffle line. I think that was their.
It is the knurling on their bar is actually patented. And it mimics the waffle pattern. So it's the waffle knurling. It is great. I mean, the one thing I say to my athletes is, I know not everyone has the opportunity to train on Leco equipment and things like that. I mean, not everyone gets that opportunity. But if you do get the opportunity to do some training sessions before a competition on Leco equipment with, calibrated plates, it can make a big difference to your competition.
Absolutely.
And one of my athletes in Australia did that. Just the other day, went to a powerlifting gym for her training, and everything felt different.
It does, because the width of the plate, your center of gravity is much closer to you. So you've actually got to work a little bit more to stabilize it. And it's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, it changes everything. I mean, the difference between 180 kilos in bumper plates compared to 180 kilos on Leco plates is a completely different feeling.
Yeah, that's it. Lifters who come to a powerlifting gym that's not that much. It's only that wide.
Yeah, it's not very big.
It's not very big. It's only 275 kilos. Okay, fair enough. The one thing I was going to say, with the story you related with your young athlete who dropped the bar in the gym. I think any plate is a bumper plate if you drop it from high enough.
Look, I think if you drop it far enough down, they all bounce.
They'll bounce. Absolutely.
They make one heck of a noise, that's for sure.
Yeah, sure. So, can we tell us a little bit more about China? Sort of what the competition's going to entail. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. and what you're expecting.
Yeah, look, I mean, as you know, World Games is, it is the top gun of powerlifting. I mean, to qualify for World Games, you've got to finish in the top three at the World Championship Classic and World Championship for Equipped to qualify for the World Games. So, you do have, the absolute best of powerlifting. It's a quick event as well. I mean, it's only a competition over a few days. Weight classes are divided into light, middle, and heavy, and super heavy. I think at the World Games as well. On IPF points. So it's a very tough competition. Tough competition to qualify for. You could see that at the World Equipped Championships last year. Everyone trying to get on the podium to qualify for World Games, and then some big hopefuls just missing out. Obviously they'll go into the reserve squad as well. So it's a really exciting competition for that reason, because it's just so closely matched. I mean, we're talking about people that gold medalists in the World Championships that have been there a number of times. The other thing about the World Games, I guess, is too, it's only every 4 years. So you might only get one shot at it. And this World Games could be your only shot at a World Games. You might never get to a World Games again. I mean, 4 years is a long time between competitions.
And it's also a long time for new blood to come in.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there's certainly a number of lifters there, the World Games this year that were there in Birmingham 2022, I think it was, that were there then, that will be looking to, back up their World Games title again, which makes it even more exciting. But, as I said, 4 years is a long time. Powerlifting isn't linear. You don't always do better. Well, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, and I think that's one of the hard things for young or new athletes to understand, is that as much as our training tends to be linear, powerlifting isn't necessarily linear. You don't always lift more at every competition. Because there are so many variables and so many factors that come into it. So, 4 years between World Games, that's definitely your training target. But it might not be, your performance of a lifetime. So it's tough in that respect as well. It's tough that you've got to spend 4 years planning for it. You've got other competitions along the way that you need to time your peak for as well. So timing your peak for a World Games is a really tough challenge as a coach and an athlete as well, because, you've had to time your peak for the World Championships in November to qualify for it. Then, depending on other competitions along the way, you've got to time your peak for that as well. And then you've got to time your peak for a couple of days in August, which is going to, it's a tough challenge to bring along. But these are, we're talking about world-class athletes and world-class coaches, and they do it very, very well.
Yes. You may not, but the thing within that time frame, you may not even have the same coach. Your life might have changed drastically, relationships. So it's really a very, very long time frame.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things that can change between then and there, and even from qualifying in November to August for World Games. I mean, we're talking just under a year. Anything can happen between November and August. I mean, in life, in illnesses and injuries, jobs, work, finances, and all those things
for you
affect
or your coach,
your training. All those things affect your training, your mental capacity to compete. So anything can happen, on the day, and it's a tough sport. I mean, powerlifting's a tough sport. You've got 3 lifts in each discipline, and at this elite level, one mistake, and you're out of the rankings.
Yep. and and you've got to fight those emotions. And I think we always think that elite athletes have a much better mindset because of their experience, and they do, but emotions at that level with that amount of time and commitment, if I blow it at nationals, okay, fine, I'll do it
Yeah.
next year. But it's a lot of pressure. They're really very, very special people. So let me hit you with a bit of a controversial question, if I can, because I've been thinking.
I'm always
about
up for some controversy.
Excellent. So let me start it off by saying, just for what you've seen over the years since you've come into the sport to where the sport is now, if we look at the levels of competitions that are being put on and the standard of the sport, as you said, the standard of spotting and loading, the standard of the referees, the standard of the teams running it, the standard of the media teams, it's beyond world class. I think with the powerlifting stuff that we see, it's setting the standard for sport and engagement. The Olympics have been a powerlifting dream for many years. Not to say that not being in the Olympics is something special, but do you think that we've reached a level in the sport? I mean, sorry, being in the Olympics would be something exceptionally special, but have we reached a level in the sport where we've almost made it, like with World Games, to that Olympic level sense? And because of the standard of our sport now?
I know exactly what you're saying there. Yeah. Look, I mean, personally, for myself as well, I would love to see powerlifting as an Olympic sport. I think we have reached the point in our sport now where it is a spectator sport for everyone. And it's what, and I mean, if you look at weightlifting, for example, weightlifting at its prime was a spectator sport for everyone. Everyone understood that was an enormous amount of weight to put above your head. You didn't have to understand the intricacies and the technicalities to watch it and enjoy it. Powerlifting has reached that point, particularly with the professional broadcasts, on our channel, on Olympic Channel, on Eurosport, on CNBC Sport in the US. We have reached that pinnacle of sport where it is a spectator sport that people will sit down and watch on the Wide World of Sport on a Sunday morning, even if they're not lifters, even if they're armchair athletes, they can watch it and enjoy it. I still have a vision that powerlifting will find its way to the Olympics. But I think the great thing about it now is that the Olympics would make it extra special, but we don't need the Olympics to be as great as we are. If you look 10 years ago or 15 years ago, the Olympics would have launched powerlifting into the world viewership. We already have world viewership. We already have a product that is just fantastic to watch. And not just a product that's fantastic to watch, a product that's fantastic to go to, because we have still kept and maintained that community of what powerlifting, the essence, has always been about. I mean, there is nothing greater than going to a competition and watching the guy lifting for the world record and for the win, and the guy who's currently number one is the one screaming the loudest for you to get that lift, even though that lift means you're taking his world record and you're going to beat him. I mean, we saw an athlete at World Bench break. I think it was World Bench broke one of Daiki Gadama's world records, and Daiki was one of the first guys there to congratulate him and hug him and taking that world record. That's what powerlifting is, and we've not lost that. No matter how big we've become, no matter how great we've become with broadcasting and World Games and maybe the Olympics, we've never lost that. And you'll still see that at every competition. You'll still see athletes stop and talk to the people and their fans. I still get a thrill, when athletes come over to the commentary table and talk to us. I still get a buzz out of that. All these years later. I mean, because these people that I'm commentating on, these people have been a part of my journey and my life, and I've admired them and watched them, and I still do, and I still admire them and watch them. I mean, I think I remember getting all excited when someone followed me on back on Instagram. It was I was like a little kid in a toy
Yeah.
store in a candy shop. But yeah, I mean, I know exactly what you're saying. The Olympics would be an incredibly special thing. And I don't ever want the IPF to stop chasing that,
Mm.
because I do think we're getting very close. But I think we've reached the point that the Olympics is now the icing on the cake, not the cake.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. The icing on the cake, not the cake.
Yeah,
We
I'm
need to tell.
copywriting that. I'm
Okay.
copywriting that one.
No, you have to, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Maybe what we need to say to the Olympics is you guys better hurry up and get us on board. Otherwise, you're going to have nations leaving the Olympics to come to powerlifting because it's so well run and so epic and so awesome. It's like, okay, we know it's horse riding and not powerlifting, but can we do it at your comms? And then suddenly the new Olympics is called
I'm sure we
powerlifting.
can accommodate.
100%.
Yeah, look,
Easy
and that's
peasy. Yeah.
and that's the other great thing, isn't it? I mean, the standard of and not just athleticism, but the standard of the presentation of competitions at each
Yes.
venue continues to get better. You know, it's sort of like this sort of, I guess, competitiveness between organizers, you know, doing the best, the best game, the best competition. But it's set in a fantastic standard. You know, and you go to these competitions now, and every time you go to a competition, there's an improvement here, an improvement there. We've done this, we've done that, and every time you go, it just gets better and better. And that's a great thing for the athletes as well. I think it's still such a community of sport that
Mm.
organizers listen to athletes. You know,
And
when
I think,
athletes say, "Oh,
yeah,
this
yeah.
didn't work very well," we change that on the next one.
Yeah. I think I know with Sun City and Commonwealth and Masters last year, I think Harney had 14 warm-up platforms and
Yeah.
four dedicated platforms for training. And it was just the feedback was
Yeah.
so awesome. And I think it's the same powerlifting spirit with the event organizers where it's, you know, when your your competition does an exceptional job and you go to the
Yep.
next, that's about, firstly, it's someone that the organizers have been in the game for a long time. They know one another. They're like, wow, okay, I'm going to have to, I'll steal that and bring this. It's like where you want those you're competing against to do better than you, so you become better. It's the same thing on that competition level.
Yeah. I mean, I was in Sun City for World Bench. I cannot remember what year it was now.
I
Was
think
that
23.
2023?
Yep.
23? Yeah, absolutely fantastic event. Yeah. Yeah, look, if anyone from South Africa is listening and you want the commentator in Sun City again, I'd be happy to come back.
Yep. 100%.
Absolutely loved it there. That was a great competition. Hats off to Harney for that one. That was a really, really good competition. Great venue. South Africa was just such a warm and inviting place to come to, and Sun City was just amazing. So, yeah, I would definitely be back.
Excellent. Good. Well, we're looking forward to having you back. I'll mention that to Harney. It's like, come on.
Yep.
You know what you need.
Yeah, let him know.
I absolutely will do. So, speaking of the announcing, a question that I have, and we just absolutely love the fact, and I'm really grateful that you mentioned now getting back into competing and wanting to go for that world record in 2026. At that competition, when you're going to break that world record, you're going to win gold. Who would you like to be on the microphone?
Oh, well, I definitely have to have Joe Whiteley on the microphone. Yeah,
I didn't think
Joe,
there was another answer, but I had to ask you.
Yeah, I'd have to have Joe Whiteley commentating and Joe Whiteley announcing MC. You know, Joe, who does the emceeing at the competitions, is not just the way his voice is, but the way he gets the crowd involved, the people involved, and his knowledge of the sport. helps, so much. I remember when we were in Druskininkai in Lithuania a couple of years ago, and the power went down. Bernie McGurk, I think, was in the middle of a squat, I think, when the power went out.
Right.
Halfway through his squat. It's not an excuse for missing the squat, but we'll give it to him.
Hang on a second.
But Joe
Yep.
was announcing. Joe was a commentator, and they just kept the competition running on cards until the power came back on again.
Sure.
And I think that's what is one of those great moments where, they thought, okay, if we stop the competition because the power's gone out, it buggers every single athlete up from here to the next 3 sessions that day. And they were able to keep everything running on time. So none of the athletes were buggered up with their warm-ups or anything like that. It just kept everything going. And that's a good MC that can do that at the drop of a hat, and he puts so much into the sport, his passion. He even took the time to do a competition to understand from the athlete's perspective. Let's just say, unlike his wife, Joe is not a powerlifter. Unlike his wife, he is a great cyclist.
Yes,
but not a world champion powerlifter.
Okay.
But he actually did pretty well for
that makes it even more fantastic, right?
Yeah. But he did it to understand what it's like from the athlete's perspective. To be out there, to the nerves and the tension and the pressure.
Sure.
And of course, his wife Jo White, who commentates with me, multiple world champion in powerlifting and bench press. And a data brain that we downloaded to the internet.
Yep, 100%. We have an internet because of her brain. So from your
all
side,
that data is there because of her.
Oh, Gary, we're losing you a little bit there. I think let's see if we can get you back. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I think I've frozen again.
Okay, there we go. You're back. All right. Oh, no. Hey, I think you're catching up. All right, cool. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, I can hear you fine, yeah.
All right, okay, fantastic. From your side, just as we wrap up, anything that you'd like to share or talk about?
Yeah, look, I think the one thing I want to say to the powerlifting community is thank you. I mean, I have had, such a privilege, life to be able to come to these competitions and commentate and meet so many great people, so many great athletes, made so many friends over the years. There was a point, a few years ago where I was thinking about retiring, but the athletes and some other people, changed my mind completely, and I'm glad they did, because
we are glad
it
you
is
did.
just one of the greatest things of I get to do. So I take my hat off to them. I thank you to the whole powerlifting community, the IPF, for giving me this privilege, and I do, and I always have seen it as a privilege. I don't really promote myself. I'm not that sort of person. But it has been such an amazing honor, and I hope there are years to come. And I hope I'm still commentating in 10 years' time, and seeing the new world champions coming through, at different stages as well. I guess that's the big thing I want to say is a thank you to the powerlifting community.
Sure, that's and we are very, very grateful to have you involved, and for the standard you set and the bar that you set very high. And I think that's something that has really helped elevate the sport. From my side, the thing that I'm looking forward to, and I'm glad you didn't retire in, is that you announcing or commentating on the first powerlifting competition in the Olympics?
Oh, I really hope it happens in my time. It would be, wow, that would be the pinnacle, wouldn't it? I mean, as I said, it'd be the icing on the cake, not the cake anymore.
Yeah.
But I would have my hand up immediately to hopefully be the one to do that.
Oh, fantastic. Gary, thank you for your time. And the reason we got to cut it to an hour is that, YouTube, we can go on for hours and hours, but Instagram only gives us an hour. So I just wanted to say thank you. We'd love to, after China, chat to you about your experiences there as well.
Yeah, for sure.
And then with your progress as you go towards that goal for 2026. It's so awesome because you deserve the rewards on the platform as well, because of everything that you've given to the sport, everything that you brought to the sport. Because I did a very rough job announcing at the competitions, but and I'm nowhere near giving the numbers and the history that you guys do. And I understand how fatiguing that was and how exhausting that is. And they
can be very tiring days at times.
Yeah, very, very tiring days. The energy and the passion that you bring to the platform, it's like with you, every session is the same. There's no drop off in energy. And from my side, I wanted to say thank you. I'm very grateful for sort of the friendship that we formed, and it means a great deal to me to be able to just message you and say, hey, can we get you on for a chat? And you're always keen and eager to do that. So thank you.
Yeah, I'll be there, and definitely after China, let's have an update, and maybe we can do a live broadcast from China.
Even better if we can. I would absolutely love to. That would be phenomenal. We say "Ngoi, ni hao." Yeah, how's your Chinese, your Cantonese, and Mandarin, by
the way? Sorry, you're breaking up. What?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Hello.
I didn't. Hello. Yeah. Hello.
If you just string a whole bunch of names together, it'll be fine. People will think you're talking.
Yep.
Oh, smashing, Gary. Thank you so much. I'm going to end the stream, and then I'll just chat to you quickly off air.
Thanks, Nick. Really appreciated the time, man. Really good.
Awesome. Thank you.